have our fall 2020 game jam. We'll give a couple minutes for people to trickle in, and we'll get started around in 2 minutes. All right, so let's get started. Everyone, welcome to Fall 2020 Game Jam. This is our showcase to celebrate everyone who participated in our game jam for this quarter. Next slide. I just want to say congratulations to everyone. And next slide, we have a little bit about our club. We are Husky Game Dev Club at University of Washington Bothell, and we hold workshops and quarterly game jams, all related to game development and stuff like that. So feel free to connect with us on any of these. We recently made Instagram, and we're active on Twitter, Discord, LinkedIn, so feel free to reach out to us there. On the next slide, going over to our agenda for today. First, we are going to have panelist introductions, and then we're going to have the actual showcase, and then we're going to have some announcements about our club, and then after that, we will be closing the showcase. So first up, we have Vincent as one of our panelists.
Hey guys, my name is Vincent Allen. I'm the president of the Husky Game Dev, and I've worked on roughly eight different games and student settings. Yeah, happy to panel.
Hey everyone, my name is Hao. I'm the current technical director for the Husky Game Development Club, and I've been making games since high school, and I'm really looking forward to the game that you guys made for today.
Hey guys, my name is Nikhil, and I'm one of the officers in Husky Game Dev, and I love video games, and I've been always fascinated with them when I was a kid, and I'm working with Vincent to make a new club called Husky Game Studio, and yeah.
Awesome. Now we will move on to the actual Game Jam Showcase. So first up, we have Mirror Hunt, and we have a little demo clip here that we can play. Wow, awesome game. We do have our developer here with us today, Chapman. Uh, feel free to add anything to it if you want.
Um, so when I develop a game, I um I figured out the camera system is not gonna be super good for the game, but I decide on still using the third person. The main reason for that is kind of the asset or for the player doesn't allow for first person or it is a little bit buggy for first person. And the second thing is that um, when I it's like the issue when I develop a map is that I made the map a little bit too small, so the scene is a little bit too tight for the player to move. So the third person camera kind of doesn't work very well as well. So, but a little bit more thing to add up is that when I developed the game, I kind of didn't have a lot of the details in my mind when I develop the game, but more like I have the general idea. Oh, I want this to be foggy, and I want a mirror reflection to show exactly um, which location the enemy is. And when I implement those, it kind of feel a little bit too um, it it's like more like putting those map and tiny map and then mirror into together. It's kind of making the map a little bit not as good as I think with third person. So, but I don't have enough time to work on it to make it like a fine asset and make it first person. So I just have to get along with it. But overall, it's a pretty good experience to develop my first 3D game and working with different kind of algorithms and design process along the way. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you. It's an awesome game. Like you did an amazing job. Now we can move on to our panelists to get receive some feedback. We'll go with Vincent first.
Awesome. Thank you. I think the game looks super awesome. It definitely has like that really intense vibe that you would get from like horror games and such. As you mentioned, it sounds like there was consideration for like a first-person camera, and if you had more time, I would have definitely recommended implementing that. But it, of course, as you mentioned, there were some difficulties, and of course, there's always that time crunch between school and game development work. But I think that would probably be my biggest gripe is the camera. Um, but the next thing would be that if you had more time, definitely styling it, the map to look like one of those mirror houses that you see at like carnivals um, or theme parks and stuff like that would be super dope. Um, and yeah, looks really good. Another smaller constructive critique is if you had um, or actually, quick question: does the mini map show the general direction of where the enemy is, or will it show like how far it is from you? Because I see there's the red dot, but I'm not sure if that
Um,
is representative of its direction or its position.
so the original idea of the radar is more like show the direction and the position. Like as the enemy get closer, the red dot get closer to the center of the radar. But
Mm-hmm.
as I developing it, it seems for me because I developed the map, but it seems a little bit too easy to find the direction based on the radar to shoot. So what I
Mm-hmm.
did is that if you get too close, like within the second ring of the radar, the
Mm-hmm.
enemy disappear, the red dot disappear, and you have to
Oh.
start finding the enemy based on your memory of the direction and the mirror reflection as well.
Mm-hmm. Awesome. Yeah, I like that. I think some possible ways you could improve that would be maybe focusing more on showing the direction they're at or they're coming from, or you can make it so it's, instead of having a radar that covers the full 360 degrees, have it only show if the enemy is a certain distance away in front of you, kind of like how Alien Isolation does it, where they have like a little radar tool that you can point around places, and it'll tell you if they're if it's spotting motion ahead of you or not, and roughly how far they are from you. Um, but I think with the resources that you have, I like the idea of making it so they disappear once they hit that center two rings. Perhaps you could update the sprite to animate like some kind of glitch animation, or some other kind of indicator to show like, hey, something went wrong with the radar and you can't see them when they're closer to the two rings or something like that, just so it doesn't look like it's bugging out, or doesn't leave the player a little confused. But
Yeah.
but overall, I mean, your game looks super awesome, and I love the idea of using the mirrors to like show where the enemy is, because it definitely reflects, or excuse the pun, it definitely is a good use of the theme reflect. um, and I like it. Good job.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Next up, we have How.
Hey Chapman, your game looks really awesome and pretty spooky. It really reminds me of Phasmophobia. I see that you even have gun and radar built into your game, which is what I like in a horror game. Make it feel like you are more in control of the game. And same as Vincent's, going for a third-person perspective in a pretty claustrophobic area does really limit the player vision. So some feedback I can give is change the perspective a little bit. So maybe moving the camera like closer to the player, maybe on the shoulder, so the player have a better view of what they can see. But overall, I think the game looked super dope and fit the theme really well, and I cannot wait to see what you have in store for us for future project. A question that I have is, how do you achieve your mirror effect? Do you use like a shader or something else?
Um, so basically, I took have like a like in I have to create an individual camera to
Mm,
record the point of view of the mirror, and then have that targeted texture of the camera have like a separate material for the mirror as well. So every single mirror is like an individual camera and a individual texture material. So it takes a long time to like create a room because it also is like memory consuming,
mhm.
and it takes a long time because you cannot just like copy and paste, because if you copy and paste, the camera still share the same targeted texture, so they the two mirror in like different positions still like reflect on the same point of view. So it's pretty time
Uh,
consuming and
I see. But it
cost.
looks really cool
It's
though.
not. Yeah.
Nice job.
Thank you.
Awesome. Now we have our third panelist, Nikhil.
Hello, Chapman. First of all, I would like to say, awesome game. It definitely nails the spooky point or spooky element of it, and it reminds me of the now canceled Silent Hill PT, where you're in a crammed room trying to find a way out of it, I guess. And I really like your 3D models. I think they are, especially the ones for the enemies, I think they look spooky and scary. Also, I really like your sound design. I think your sound is pretty good. And my only complaint I have, one of the complaints I have, is that the walls look lifeless and they don't fit in with the atmosphere. Like they look plain. A texture, maybe adding a texture could fix that. As you said, also with the camera, it was a bit wonky. That's understandable because of the time crunch. Also, on the bottom left, the bullet icon, it feels out of place. Like if you look at the radar, it blends in with the actual game, so it doesn't feel like it's just sitting there. But when the bullet, it feels like it's not blending in with the environment and it's brighter than the rest of the environment, which kind of takes away from the feel of the game. So I have a couple of questions. What counts as a score increase if you on the top right you have a score, right?
Oh yeah.
What
So by hitting the enemy, you get 30 points, and by jump scare by the enemy, you minus 10 points. And if you either kill the enemy or you escape the room by the escape curtain, you will get 10 extra points as well, just for surviving successfully escape the room. Yeah.
cool. Great job overall.
Thank you.
All right, now we will move on to the next team. Just called Rhymecraft. Do we have Arten or Gabriel here with us today? Feel free to explain your game.
Yeah, so I'm Ayrton. I worked with Gabriel and Gabubi, or Nathaniel, for a 3D voxel game that's procedurally generated. And if you could play the footage, I'll just like talk over it. Hopefully it's not too loud. So I'll just start talking over it, and hopefully it's balanced okay. How we followed the theme for this game is, so instead of like Minecraft, you normally just use a pickaxe to mine. We use these magic projectiles that like reflect off the surface. And yeah, they'll like bounce all over the place, breaking every single block instantly. And it's kind of interesting because you can't really just build a house too easily because you worry about the projectile just destroying everything. But it's all night themed. There's these little floaty glowing thingies that I guess to keep you company, and we decided to go for a very cold environment, I guess if I were to say it. I really like what Gubui had to do with the music. He did some great job with the music. That it plays like probably every minute or so. There's going to be like a new song from him, and I think he did a great job, especially with the main menu music that we're hearing right now. Gabriel, he worked on the textures for the game and the weapon artwork. I think he did a great job on that. And yeah. We also, there really isn't much of an objective to the game. It's really just more like building and mining. If I did have the time, we probably would implement a lot more like a health system. Like the inventory system that's currently being used in the game to build the house was slapped on like a few days into before the game jam was ended. But if I were to say why, though, is we had a lot of delays due to optimization, and that's actually partially why it's nighttime right now. So, like Minecraft, this game uses a bunch of chunk generation, and the render distance for this game, or how many chunks that's generated out from the player, is, I think in this case, only 3, maybe 4. And if you've played Minecraft before, the game is normally like 10, and we can't do that. If we had the render distance up to 10 for this game, you would freeze every single time you loaded a new chunk. It's just really, really poor optimization, and I spent a lot of time on that. Which is why it's nighttime.
Awesome. We will go ahead with the judging. First, I'll have Hao go first.
Hello, Adrian, and to your teams. I love Minecraft, so I instantly love your games right away. I really love the reflection mechanic that you guys have, and the lighting of your game. It's really cool, and then also the environment ambient is really cool. And yeah, the guy building mechanics. So how many blocks are there in the games?
So I believe there's like 6 to 7. we were hoping that we could eventually turn the blocks into like something useful, like some crafting system like in Minecraft, but we did lack some time.
Yes, that sounds really cool. If you guys have more time, and without like schoolwork and such, I think this could have been like a really good and awesome game.
Thank you.
All right, we can have Nikhil go next.
All right. I would first like to say great job on the game. Really, really great tech demo, I guess. And I really like your lighting and reflections, very good. And I like how when you shoot the ball, it reflects. And I bet you use some math on that. I really like that. And I like the textures. I think they fit in with the game quite well, and they look quite nice. The audio design is also quite well. And I'd like to ask you a question. You said you had an issue with the optimization. Um, what did you do to make the game playable?
Okay, so it's kind of half optimized right now because I was only able to finish half of it. But basically, there's two main parts of a game like Minecraft when it comes to procedural generation. There's the loading the chunk information, like the IDs of each block, and then there's the actual mesh generation or the actual look of the chunk. So each chunk is generated by itself or threaded using Unity's job system. And yeah, I wasn't able to do it for the meshes, which is why it's still poorly optimized, but the actual generation of the IDs is using Unity's job system or threading.
Cool. I think if you did that also with the meshes, I think you would play very well. And obviously you were on a time crunch, but an objective, even if a small one, would be great. But other than that, pretty good job.
Thank you.
All right, next we have Vincent.
Awesome. Yeah, again, congrats on making a really good looking game. It looks very pretty, I think. And of course, similar to how I am in love with voxel games like this, like Minecraft. So I think you guys have a really cool concept and base game here. I think some of its biggest downfall personally is the lack of just any particular objective or like meaning. It's got like those Minecraft vibes where you can I can go around and mine and like build stuff, but what it kind of lacks is like a particularly interesting process for doing that. Like with Minecraft, for instance, you're going around and it takes some time to mine things and you have to find specific resources and collect them. And at least as far as I could tell, you feel free to correct me, but it didn't seem like there was too much of that. It's mostly reflecting like a ball that instantly mines something, which I think in itself is pretty interesting, but I think there could be some more in terms of the gameplay there. Yep. Were you gonna say something or?
Yeah, I was just gonna say that I completely agree, and of course that's partially because it was a game jam that we weren't able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I think I really underestimated the performance side of things. Like it was really getting rapid on how the development, like a lot of features were being put in, and then I loaded the first chunk and I was like, wait a minute, it's frozen for like 5 seconds.
Yeah.
But I definitely get what you mean.
Yeah, definitely. I've played around a little bit with voxel stuff and just did some research and such because it's something that interests me too. And I can definitely see what you mean by the performance hits especially when it comes to voxel generation and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, definitely big kudos. If I had to say one other thing, I think you really nailed it with like this like nighttime and like mystical vibe where everything's really dark, but you have like this glowing staff that shoots like reflecting orbs and stuff like that. I think you really nailed like a theme or like a vibe there for as abstract as a word the word vibe is, but I think kind of building on that a little more, maybe add, like, if you were to continue this game or something like that, adding something to kind of feed into that mystical vibe or mystical theme or feeling that that you get when playing this, like maybe some mysterious structures or notes or something, however you wanted to continue the game, whether that was environment or building on the environment or like a story or something like that, because I think you really nailed like that mystical theme.
Thank you.
Yeah. Overall, good job. Yeah.
Yeah, good job, guys.
Great
All
job.
right, moving on to the next slide. So that is the end of our Game Jam Showcase. I know this was very short, but we do have our Game Jams every quarter, and we hope to have more participants next quarter and the quarter after that. Next slide, we have some announcements. We have Husky Gaming Club game night. It's 7 nights of game night, and tonight is one of the nights that we can that they open it up to everyone. And so feel free to join that using this QR code. And then, like I mentioned earlier, we have game jams every quarter, and the one coming up now is Winter 2021 Game Jam. On the next slide. Once again, we want to thank everyone for participating. Hope to see you in our next Game Jam. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks everyone for attending.
Thank you.